So for our last part of our 4.8 notes, I decided that the problems that were in the note packet are actually not as straightforward to the problems on the homework. So I'm just going to do a couple example problems from the homework. So if you want to maybe just on the back of the page or on a separate piece of paper, take notes here. It says you leave your house and run 7 miles due west, followed by 5.5 miles due north. At that time, what is your bearing from your house? So here's my house, and I run 7 miles due west, which means I just go straight west. After that, I go 5.5 miles north. So this is not drawn to scale, or I guess here I'll just shave off a little bit of it. That might be about 5.5. So they say at that point, what is your bearing from your house? So how do I get from my house to that point? Now I'm going to draw this in just this straight up and down, because the first thing that I do is to decide whether I'm north or south, because it's going to be either north or south, an angle measure, and then either east or west. So I obviously looks like I went north and then some angle and then I went west. And let's think about what the bearing angle means. The bearing is going to be this angle right here. But what I actually have is the ability to find this angle in here. But I know that this is in total a 90-degree angle. So once I find what the green angle is, I'm going to take 90 minus, we'll call the green angle theta, and that's going to give me my answer. That goes in that blank. So let's find theta. Well, let's think about what we know. We know that the side opposite of theta is 5.5 and the side adjacent to theta is 7. So I'm going to set up that the tangent of theta is equal to 5.5 over 7. And I'm going to do tangent inverse of this to find that answer. So I'm going to take tangent inverse of 5.5 over 7. So let's see, I'm going to do tangent inverse of second tangent of 5.5 over 7. And when I take tangent inverse of 5.5 over 7, I get that theta is equal to 38 degrees. Now, theta is not the answer. Remember, I have to take 90 minus 38. And when I take 90 minus 38, I get that the angle in the bearing is 52 degrees. And so my bearing from my house is north 52 degrees west. Okay, let's figure out how to scroll here. The next problem, okay, give me a second here. Okay, here we go. So it says a boat leaves the entrance to the harbor and travels 100 miles on a bearing of north 56 degrees east. How many miles north and how many miles east from the harbor has the boat traveled? So I'm essentially doing the exact opposite of what I just did. So let's draw ourselves a picture. So the boat leaves the harbor and travels 100 miles on a bearing of north 56 degrees east. So I'm going to move my picture over a little bit because I'm going east. So I went north 56 degrees east. So that might be 56 degrees right there. So this is 56 degrees, and that's how I ended up there. And so I want to know how many miles north and how many miles east of the harbor am I? So this is telling me, this right here is going to tell me how many miles north, and this here is going to tell me how many miles east. And so now let me think what they gave me that the boat traveled 100 miles. So let's think about this angle. If the angle above it is 56 degrees, I'm going to take 90 minus 56 to find what that inside blue angle is. So the inside blue angle is 34 degrees. And I know that the hypotenuse of this right triangle is 100 miles. And so let's find n first. I'm going to say because n is opposite and 100 is hypotenuse, I'm going to use the trig function that uses opposite and hypotenuse, which is sine. So I'm going to say that the sine of 34 degrees is equal to n over 100. And when I multiply both sides by 100, it'll tell me how many miles north I went. So I took 100 times sine, just plain old sine of 34, and I got that I went 55.9 miles north. And then to decide how far east I went, I'm going to recognize that east is the adjacent. So if I'm going to use the adjacent and the hypotenuse, which is what I was given, I'm going to use what I was given, the 100. I'm going to set up that the cosine of 34 is equal to E over 100. And when I multiply both sides by 100, it's going to tell me that I went, let's see, 100 times cosine of 34, I went 82.9 miles east. So this picture is not drawn to scale, but it'll give me my two answers. So I am able to finish number 7 and number 10 on my homework, and then maybe we'll go back to the problem on the notes. I'll have to look a little bit deeper into what exactly I want us to cover, but we've done a lot of different applications of trigonometry in 4.8, and so this assignment is due on Friday at 3 o'clock. Let me know what questions you have.